There we go. Had to record to the cloud. Okay, here we go. So session 17, make and receive offers. We are just headed towards the end of the transaction section of Ignite. And just a quick review of our belief system. This comes into play so much in this negotiation part. So many times we see really bad negotiating in movies and whatnot. And one of my favorite shows is Suits. I think they're the epitome of not following our WI4C2T win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. That's primarily our fiduciary. Commitment in all things. Communication. Seek first to understand. It's huge when it comes to negotiating offers. Make sure we're trying to figure out what's really important to each party, all parties involved in it. Creativity, ideas before results. Always, share my screen. Yep, thanks, Alan.
No problem.
I hope you weren't going to let me talk too much more before I started doing that. All right, there we go. And if I mess with Alan a little too much, Alan is just recently joined our team. So get to see him on a daily basis. And if he says something, you're like, ooh, I can't believe he said that. Well, it's because he knows me. So
I'll let you know how you do tomorrow. Yeah.
sounds good. All right. And everyone, please feel free to chime in and engage. We'll have some fun. Working together, a lot of times, again, we feel like this can be a us against them, but our role as agents is the reason we have jobs, and in my belief is we're the ones that are supposed to be able to communicate amicably when emotions get hot, respect the job, respect what each other is doing for each other's clients, and come together and work things out to get everyone to the finish line. Trust starts with honesty, equity, and success. Okay. And there we go. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about the offer process. We're going to talk about preparing your offer, what it looks like to write up an offer, presenting your offer to the other side, receiving and responding, and we'll go some recaps and ahas. I like to try and get to that with about 10 minutes so you guys can share questions or ahas, because that's really, sometimes when you hear someone else repeat what they got out of it, you're like, oh crap, I might have missed that. Okay, here we go. I think of sales as the ability to gracefully persuade, not manipulate a person or persons to a win-win situation. All right, the offer process. In real estate, offer comes from the buyer, and then the seller has the opportunity to respond. The seller will respond in one of three ways: counter, just accepting it, or just straight out rejecting it. Let's start with rejecting it, because that pretty much slams on the brakes of the whole deal. Buyer makes an offer, seller rejects it, you send it back, it's over. As an agent, you'll learn maybe to go back and, hey, that doesn't mean you can't rewrite a new offer, and it doesn't mean it's dead in the water, but certainly as far as you got some talking and figuring out to do. If you accept the offer, those are fun. I got to tell you, when you submit an offer as a buyer and it comes back accepted, it's almost like, oh shoot, did we not ask for enough? But those are fun. It usually looks like, those usually lead to really smooth transactions. The less countering back and forth, I have found those tend to be the smoothest transactions. Everyone's on board and generally happy. The counter offer begins the negotiation, and I can't stress enough, I've done everything to where we've had like 16 counters back and forth, and that just gets really hairy to keep track of all that. Trying to keep it to one or two is always the best. Get on the phone, talk about what's important, and have those conversations. Remember, that's what we're hired for. All right. Well, that's a quick aha. Any ahas out of that? Let me check. Oh, I gotta get this chat. There we go. Okay, so when it comes to preparing your offer, if you need a chance to take a screenshot, or if you guys don't have this is a great little checklist. And these are things you want to make sure you're doing. First of all, ensure the property's still available. We're coming on into a slower market now, which is nice. Makes this stuff not as necessary sometimes, but that's when the bad habits start. So taking what we learned out of the last market before we go show, it's a nice idea to check in with the agent, start building that rapport then. Hey, I think this might really work for my client. Here's why. We'll do the showing. I'll be sure to give you some feedback. Is the property still available? And make sure you ask the question, do you have any offers? If they do, see what you can do to find out about those offers and again, start building that rapport. But let's say you didn't, you showed the house, your clients want to buy the home. Awesome. I'm going to make a call. If I'm in between properties, I'm going to still call right away. I'm calling that cross agent as quickly as I can. Guys, you start doing this a lot in your life, and you're going to have those moments where you did the showing, you showed a few more, you went to dinner with the family at 7 o'clock at night, you called the agent, they didn't answer, you call in the morning, you get a hold of them at 9 a.m. My clients accepted an offer at 8 o'clock last night. If you would have called at 11 after that first showing when they indicated that they were interested, maybe you get your client's offer in. So make sure to ensure this property is still available and do that right away. Start building rapport with your listing agent, asking questions, but it's just like with anything else, mirror and match and try and gauge the conversation. If they're being short and not offering a lot of information, you might not want to go on and on and on about your client and their offer and why they should pick you. Okay, they're probably busy, ask for a better time to call and have a conversation. Conversely, if I get agents that they like to share a lot of information, then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen and let them share as much as they want, because that'll give me more information to form an offer. Make sure to inquire about activity. How many showings have they had? And just like when, someone walks into an open house and we want to know, do they really have an agent? And we say, hey, are you working with a real estate agent? Yes. Oh, who is it? Sometimes the more specific we get to the honest truth about things. So how has the activity been? Oh, it's been really great, super busy. Oh, when was the last showing? How many showings have you had in the last 3 days? When was the last time you got an offer? Asking very specific questions to get an idea of where they're at. It's good to do, and you owe your client that. Inquire about offers. Number 4, inquire about offers on the property status and why did they fall through? Have you had any offers in the past? Yes, we had one. Oh, what happened to that offer? Oh, the buyer didn't qualify. Did you open escrow? Yes, we did. Was there an inspection? Yes, there was. Can I get that inspection report? So asking questions and pushing until you start to feel a little uncomfortable about the questions you're asking is a good idea. Definitely my big number 5. Is that the right one? Okay. Ask questions about sellers' motivations and needs. One of my favorite questions to ask is, besides the price, what's the most important thing to your seller? And then they're going to be quiet because they don't really know if it's price is it. If they haven't really thought about it beyond price, just let them really think about it. If it's an awkward silence for too long, you can offer some suggestions that may or may not benefit your client. Definitely start with open-ended. So would your sellers prefer a shorter or longer closing? Are your sellers willing to make repairs, or would they prefer a credit? How important is earnest money? All those types of things. And a lot of times, remember, the sellers are often getting their biases of the negotiation and the contract from the agent. So, seller's agent, how important is it to you, or what do you like to see as a standard escrow deposit? Sometimes agents will really value a strong escrow deposit, and that can give an offer a lot of credence and strength. Sometimes, and you'll hear it in their voice, they just don't care. It doesn't really mean much. They know they can get out of it anyway. And so you might get somebody who just says, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to worry about Binzer. There's going to be a lot of small things. We're just going to rather do a credit. Okay, so good questions to ask about their motivations, what they need, and really you can help to structure your offer as far as your buyers are concerned to meet those needs. Asking listing agent, number 6, ask the listing agent how they want to receive the offer. You can ask, outside of an email, but sometimes depending on your market, depending on the price, depending on the sellers, you may want to hand deliver that offer or even present it yourself. Number 7, obtain the buyer's pre-approval from the lender. Highly recommend you do that before you start showing homes. In Arizona, we can't even submit our contracts without a pre-approval form or a pre-qualification form, but make sure you get that from the lender. Number 8, review MLS and tax records. Good idea to do before preparing the offer and even before talking to your clients about what they want to offer. See if there's any discrepancies between those tax records and what's in the MLS. If there are, that's another great thing to have a conversation with the cross agent. Number 9, produce competitive market analysis. So you're going to ask your clients what they want to offer, and their response is going to be, what should we offer? And we don't want to do that. So definitely want to present them with, well, here's comparables. Here's why this home is similar, and here's why this one isn't. Here's what might dictate a higher price in this home or a lower price in this home. And then I've always found it beneficial to give them a range. If you want to go in with a really strong offer, I suggest you be around this number. If you want to try and save some money, kind of see where they're at. If you're not really feeling this home, but it would be worth it to you at a lower price, I would suggest going anything lower than this. They might find it offensive. If someone is going to push the lower end of the market, I will usually have that conversation with the cross agent and say, hey, we're expecting a low offer here. It's not meant to offend anybody. We're just, based on some of the comps and evidence I'll send over, they're looking for a lower price. Number 10, obtain a seller's disclosure statement and other needed documents. So good to go in and formulate an offer based on all the information you have available to you. At the same time, if the HOA addendum or the SPUDs or any other documents aren't necessarily in the listing, not going to wait for those. I'm going to get my client's offer in front of the sellers as quickly as possible. We don't want to delay and wait because others might be submitting offers. And if in your market you can move an offer forward without those things, go for it. Get the seller disclosure when you can, and then adjust from there. But if an agent has taken the time to do an addendum, to put the HOA addendum or the seller disclosures into the MLS for you to see or to send it over to you, it's really important to read through that and make that a part of your offer. There's nothing worse than coming to terms, getting to the inspection and due diligence, and then having someone came back and say, hey, those ACs are 20 years old, when that's already been disclosed and they should have already known in formulating their offer. Any questions? Am I going too fast? Shakita, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question about the tax record piece. Can you tell me more? I don't think I've done a really good job at checking for tax records.
Absolutely. What market are you in?
I'm in Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Okay. So I'm not 100% sure what your system looks like on your end. But if we go to, I'll show you on our side what we can see here in Arizona. And our tax records are integrated right into our MLS system. So our tax records are in through Monsoon. Now, again, if I didn't have Monsoon, I can still get to this information. I'll show you how we do that here in Arizona. But one of the things I'm looking at here is the livable square footage that's recorded. And does that match what's in? This is my listing. This is our listing. So I'm aware that some of this doesn't match. That's why I'm using it. So 4,000 square feet per the owner. Now our tax records indicate more. But he knows from living there and having an appraisals done that he feels it's actually slightly under 4,000. So our advice to him was, we don't know for sure. The tax records indicate this. You think it's lower. Let's meet in the middle and we'll say it's per your instruction. So if we go back over here to our report, you can see, and if you guys can't see that, I'll try and zoom in where I can. You can see he's indicated 4,000, and in our MLS, we can indicate that the owner, that's per the owner. Another option is to say the county assessor. So that's one example. The other would be taxes. So we want to make sure and verify taxes are correct. I come down here. This is from, again, the state, the county assessor's office or county treasurer's office. We're going to check, there's the taxes are 3,156. And if we go back to the MLS, does that map what's in here? Sometimes, especially as listings stay on the market longer, maybe this isn't an updated tax number. So that's pretty much it. You can get lot square footage. In Arizona, we've got some county issues, so making sure it's with the right county that's indicated in the listing. Sometimes a city is off. Queen Creek. Queen Creek is a town out in the east side of Arizona. Queen Creek, the town, is actually taking on some of a neighboring town called Santan. And so as they bring, it's not assimilate. Anyone know the word I'm looking for? As they take on parts of Santan and bring them into Queen Creek, there's some confusion as to what towns and what cities. It can create issues when it comes to school zoning and whatnot. So you just want to go through and look at that data and compare it with what's in the listing and just see if there's any discrepancies. If there are, before you bring them to your buyer, bring that up to the listing agent and see if you can get clarity around that. Really great question. Did I answer that for you?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get back to this. Writing the offer. When it comes to writing the offer, it's a good idea to have a list until you've done this so often that then you just wake up and think about this checklist. But when you're talking with your buyers, price and terms. So price is one thing, but how quickly do they want to sell? How much are they prepared to put down in earnest? Are the, other things in our contract, home warranties? How long are they wanting to give the seller to respond to the offer? Title company, concessions. There's numerous things in the contracts. All those are terms. You're going to want to make sure you review the selling disclosure with them. Look to see if there's any conveyances. There's, one of the things out here is in Arizona, most homes have pools. And there's a pool company that will currently put a salt cell on your pool at no cost to you, as long as you use their service. It is officially a lease. And so when people sell their home and they're with this company, that lease either transfers or they remove the salt cell. So imagine how that conversation goes when your buyer calls you and says, my salt cell is gone. What happened? And there's a leak because they didn't do it right. So checking conveyances, making sure there are no leased items, what is going to convey with the property. And if there's any ambiguity, make sure you get clarity and put in the contract. It's a really good idea to do a video. It's so easy to video things these days. When your clients have indicated they're ready to make an offer on a property, if you can, it's a good idea to go around and get video and lots of pictures. I can't tell you how many things that should have stayed have disappeared from listings. It's just a really good idea to be clear on all of that and what conveys. In Arizona, we've had to get more specific even on appliances. So when in our contract, when it asks for a refrigerator, if it's stainless steel, two doors on the top and one on the bottom, like we're putting some of that in just to be clear, because we've had some sellers that say, oh, they just wanted a fridge. I'll swap it out with the one that was in the garage because I actually really like this. And then buyers move in and there's a garage refrigerator where the other one was. So making sure video, pictures, and clearly defining what conveys in a contract. Earnest money, having a conversation around earnest money, found it's always a good time to talk about when and how a buyer can lose their earnest money, and be real, have real conversations about when your buyers have lost earnest money, if ever. And if you haven't, it's important to have examples, because if you just say, oh, don't worry, you never lose it, that's not really fair to them to understand when they might. So, we have, that is one of our scripts that our agents learn. Over 600 transactions, we've lost 3 earnest deposits, 2 to new home builds because they were non-refundable. And we let our clients know that going into the contract. They backed out because rates went up. And the third, the gentleman was strictly just out of contract. He breached contract as a seller, or I'm sorry, rather as a buyer. And we were still able to negotiate and get half of that earnest money back. So, having those stories and letting them know when and what specifically shows that you're experiencing that matter, and it gives them a little bit more security around turning over that money. The reason I like earnest money is that one of the best ways to strengthen an offer and not really cost your client anything, your buyer anything. You're going to talk about due diligence and inspection period. In Arizona, it's a standard 10 days, but that is negotiable. Sometimes, depending on when an offer might be accepted, it can make an offer really strong if you're going to get an offer accepted on a Saturday and you do your due diligence period just through Thursday, because you can line up your home inspection, and the seller on the other end might not love the contract, but if you're not going to ask for much, if your buyer's not going to ask for much, they like the contract better. And now they can have an answer back and know where they're at before next weekend. That strengthens the offer. So, time for seller acceptance. A lot of people in Arizona think that has a lot of bearing on offers. It really doesn't. Sometimes 24 hours is enough. Usually it's not. Even when it goes past, the buyer's not locked in anymore, but the offer could still happen, and we just counter those terms. So I'm going to spend too much time on that. Financing terms, typically 30 years. FHA, conventional, make sure you get clear around the offer. Sometimes buyers will say, well, I can put 20 down. Talk to the lender, make sure they really want to put 20% down. That's a bad example. So let's say they have 15% to put down. Talking to the lender and saying, hey, is it all the same if they put 10? Because you can always come over the contract. You can always say you're going to do 10 and actually put 15. But you would be in breaching contract if you put 15 and they could only do 10, and that could cause some problems. Buyer pre-approval letter, make sure you've got that. Like I said, in Arizona, it's a separate form that must be included with the contract. So make sure you've got your buyer approval letter ready to go. That you've had conversations around closing date. Lots of agents love to put closing. Well, let me ask you, when does everyone close? Typically, what day of the week?
Friday.
Fridays. And not only just Fridays, what Friday within a month typically has the most closings?
First Friday.
First Friday or last Friday? Yep, whatever that Friday is, right towards the 30th or the 1st. I see Nicole is putting some stuff in the chat. It looks like they've got a tax tab in their NWWMLS. So very cool. Thank you, Nicole, for doing that. So typically your closings will all pile up on the last or first Friday of the month. Fridays for sure. Now, there's a lot of problems with closing on a Friday. Well, there's not. Everyone likes a Friday because you got the weekend to move and all that. The problem with closing on Fridays is when you don't. And now you've got people in trucks or looking to move or whatever the case may be, and nobody's open on a Saturday or Sunday. I do know some title companies are open on Saturdays in different states, but in Arizona, Saturday and Sunday, there is nothing happening in real estate. And now you got the whole weekend to worry about your buyers or your sellers not being able to come through on their plans. So we like to close Wednesdays or Thursdays when possible. That way, if there is a delay, we're ahead of the game, and we can usually get that close on a Friday. We just had one that was supposed to close on a Friday. I didn't want to do it, but the lender needed all the time he could get, so we said, okay, we'll do Friday the 14th. Friday the 14th turned into Monday. Monday turned into Tuesday. Tuesday, the documents got stuck and weren't overnighted like they should have been, which turned into today. Today is Juneteenth, and so the banks and title companies are closed, and now we're closing tomorrow, all because we went to close on a Friday. The truth is, if it would have been on a Thursday, this might have been closed Friday. If nothing else, it would have been closed on Monday, not tomorrow. All right. Home warranties, have the conversations up front. And sorry, I'm not going to keep saying in Arizona, you know by now, we present 3 home warranties. And if our clients decline a home warranty, it has to be in writing, not only on the contract, but actually another form as well, making sure that we fully disclose the value of a home warranty and that if they do or do not want it. I think it's really important your clients, if they've never bought a home before, they never had a home warranty, that you review with them the pros and cons of having one and when, certain situations might be more beneficial than others. I'll never forget my first kind of like aha with a home warranty. Client, young gal, she was like 22 years old, bought her first home, said, "Hey, get the home warranty, it'll protect you." She called me crying. She's like, "This home warranty is not protecting me." I'm like, "What's the matter?" She had a hot water heater that blew up on her, and the home warranty company went over to take a look at it, and they would not replace it for her because it was not older than 5 years. The 5 years meant that it was still under manufacturer warranty. And so she would have had to gone through the manufacturer to do that. She didn't. She had to pay out of pocket, and the home warranty didn't help her on that hot water heater. Now, that doesn't always happen, but it is something to note. If if your clients are getting a house with all the brand new appliances and a new AC, home warranty might not be something they want in that year. Um, Conversely, everything's 10 years old. It's probably a good idea, but talk to your home warranty companies, have those conversations, learn about the pros and cons and when someone might or may not want to have one. Make sure you present that. Repair limits, we don't have that in Arizona. It is something we write in on occasion, but if you're going to be putting repair limits into your contract, make sure you have that conversation with the buyers. As the market gets tighter and buyers start putting all their money into purchasing a home, they don't have much to do. Little repairs that come up on the inspection. Sometimes sellers get really wary about getting nickel and dime on little repairs. So you may want to write in repair limits of, no repairs will be asked for anything under $300. Or no repairs will be asked for over $5,000, in which case you'd be left with being forced to cancel and at least be able to have a conversation. Okay, just occasionally checking the chat. And when you raise your hands, I do see that a little easier. So if you have a question or you put something in the chat, I don't see it, go ahead and raise your hand. Repair limits, special clauses. We'll go through some of those. In our transaction system, we just put all the clauses and all the addendums in each transaction, and then we remove them if we don't need them. That's to make sure we don't forget things like, oh, shoot, yeah, it has a septic tank, and I forgot the septic addendum. And there you go, special clauses and addendum. Okay, talk through the offer. You're going to review the contract. This is a good idea to give a copy of the contract to your buyers well before you ever sit down and put one together with them. Be sure your buyer understands the contract. Again, this is stuff you should be having conversation with before you write an offer. But if things are moving quickly, make sure you take the time to do this. Review the details like price, closing date, inspection, contingencies, conveyances, etc. Know what's essential in your area. So if you're in an area where there's wells and water rights, or there's easements, mineral rights, whatever might be going on in your area, make sure you know what's important to work into a contract. No standard or common terms for offers in your area. Here in Arizona, we call it BINSR, a buyer inspection notice, seller response. Make sure you go over that with your buyers too, if you're going to be using that terminology, because sometimes they look at you and like, what is, I don't understand what spuds is. Is that some kind of potato for dinner? No, it's the seller disclosure. Okay. And then avoid rookie agent mistakes. I love this. I hate that it's rookie agent mistakes because the truth is I've seen veterans make worse rookie mistakes. But does anyone have any examples of what a rookie mistake might be? Okay, so some of the, oh yeah, Shakina, go ahead.
Sorry, my hand was raised about another question, not about the rookie one, but
Go ahead.
just to clarify, did you say that the financing terms is just as important as like the earnest money? Like it looks better on the offer the more they put down? Is that what I understand from that?
Yes, so the more the more down payment your clients can come up with, the better chance that they're going to have of getting qualified. But what I was saying is be careful to not overpromise there. So if your clients had 15% and they wanted to do 15%, putting 15% on the contract means they have to put down 15% or they'll be in breach. Now you can always change that through an addendum and some conversation, but that could become a sticky point within the negotiations. Versus if they're not certain and you talk to the lender, you're like, listen, can they do 10? And yeah, okay, we're gonna write it at 10. And when we get to the closing table, if you guys want to do it 15, we'll talk with the lender. You can do a $15,000 down payment. That doesn't harm the contract going from 10 to 15. So they would not be in breach of contract for making that change. If they went from 15 down to 10, and then all of a sudden, because it was 10, they couldn't qualify for some reason, they'd be in breach and subject to possibly losing their earnest money. Again, depending on your contract and your market, but in Arizona, that would be grounds for them losing their earnest deposit.
So I have a question to kind of piggyback on that. If the buyer were to do the 15% instead of the 10%, which is on the contract, would you need to then rewrite the contract in order to like have final documents, or is that it's just their choice through their lender?
Great question. In Arizona, it's a choice to the lender. Again, it's
Okay.
the offer is presenting to the sellers what you are planning to do with your lender. The lender isn't necessarily bound by that contract.
Got it. Thanks.
Really great question. Okay. Rookie mistakes to me look like not including seller disclosures, not including HOA addendums, putting the wrong information in the MLS. Not the trickier stuff, just the easy stuff that the biggest one is copying in our MLS. You can copy past listings, and so clearly someone doesn't go through and review every data point, and so there's stuff from from 2012, the last time the home sold, and the data is just out of date. Can be very frustrating. All right, moving on. Okay, anything else? Sorry, I'm just distracted by the text messages that my son's missing a baseball practice he didn't know about, so apologize. All right, presenting the offer, and we are doing pretty good on time here. I do feel like I'm going 1,000 miles an hour, so if anyone needs me to slow down or anything like that, just let me know. So presenting the offer, definitely want to make sure you double check everything before you turn it in. That's not fun when you miss a zero or there's something that's grossly misspelled or whatever. Take your time. I know when we get excited and sometimes in a hurry to submit offers, I'll be the first to admit a lot of times it's 11 o'clock at night and trying to hold my eyelids open, finalizing some details. It's a really good idea to double check everything. If you can print it out, sometimes it looks different printed than on a screen. And I don't mean really looks different. I mean just the fact that it's not on your screen and it's actually in front of you. Make sure you follow instructions. A lot of times agents will put what to do and how to submit an offer. Follow instructions on what they've asked you to do. Again, it's just kind of the importance of starting off on the right foot. Make sure you label all the documents clearly. Take the extra time to say it's the purchase contract and then the next file is the HOA addendum, or if it's going to include everything, what documents are in there. You know, computers are nice these days. You can even put spaces and longer names. 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't put spaces. You had to use a little under the underline thing, and you'd be required to keep it so long. But pretty easy to put all that so that things are clear. Order documents logically, you don't want to lead with like an HOA addendum or something like that. If you don't have an order you like, talk to your broker, a team lead, an experienced agent, and hey, what do you normally see? What order do you like documents presented in? Typically like to lead with the purchase contract. One of the things we do is when we're countering, we will lead with the counter. So for example, we get an offer and our seller's countering. We will put the counter in front of the purchase contract that's signed, just because I simply don't like getting a counter offer and it's not labeled that it's a counter offer, and I go through and I see it's all signed, I'm like, oh yay, and then I call my clients and I'm like, oh hey, oops, sorry, it's not accepted. I missed the little checkbox and I didn't scroll far enough to see that it was a counter presented with the offer. So just good, clear communication through the electronics of it. Order documents logically, email summary. So I'm gonna pull in, we all have Gmail suites through Keller Williams. One of the things you can do in Gmail, there. One of the things you can do in Gmail is template documents. If you didn't know that, now you do, and you're welcome. So down here in the more options, you go to templates. If you've never made a template, you can create an email and then save it as a template. Go to Google for more information on doing that. But we have our offer template that we created. Come up with whatever you want to for yourselves. But this saves a ton of time and effort. Obviously, the X's are stuff we have to fill in. A little bit of an executive summary of the offer. Again, we try and put too much information because it's easier to delete. But obviously, this is not an exhaustive list of what might be in an offer that's beneficial for a seller to know or a seller's agent. Also, I don't love leaving out things that are detrimental. So if there's seller concessions, even though the seller's not going to love seeing that or the other agent is going to, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put it in the summary, the executive summary of the offer. And then there's just little things like, hey, make sure the docs are attached, because I've sent way too many offers without docs. All right. Don't mind all my unread messages. Okay. Notify the listing agent. In this day and age, a lot of stuff goes to spam. A lot of conversations get stacked. Definitely send a text, make a phone call, leave a message if they don't answer. Hey, I've sent you an offer. Can you please make sure to confirm? If you don't want to be a bother, you can wait 20, 30 minutes. If they haven't confirmed, reach out and check with them. But definitely with your email and your offer, ask the listing agent to respond that they've received it. And if not, definitely follow up to make sure they have. We've had offers sit in our spam boxes for 2 days on purchases because no one let us know that they submitted an offer. Add all documents to command, and then consult with your buyer. Okay. Any ahas, questions, thoughts on that process? I'm just going to go back so that we can look at it. $642, rock and roll. Here we go. Receive and respond. So we are the listing agent, and we receive an offer. The Google template was amazing. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Make sure your offer is complete. Before presenting, it's a good idea. So now we're the listing agent. We've received an offer. Again, I strongly encourage you to print that out for just closer analyzation. You know, when I've been on my phone, all the terms are pretty much on the left, and I know a few terms on the right. And there was one time I was looking through, and I should pull up a contract. don't really have one prepped, so I won't do that. But we pulled up the contract and I missed the concessions. They weren't in one line, they were in another, and I was just going quick. I was probably driving. That's terrible. But anyway, was just trying to get something over. It was late at night and totally missed it, sent it off. They got it signed, and later on found out and realized, crap, I didn't ever tell my seller, my sellers about the concessions from the buyer. So anyway, make sure the offer is complete. Make sure you have all addendum that you need. You don't want to go presenting without an HOA addendum because you don't know where those fees are at, or whatever whatever you might need. Make sure you have that. The other thing is it will make an incomplete offer, and if the buyer wanted to back out later and you didn't have a form signed by them, then they could cancel the whole contract because of that. That wouldn't be good either. All right, confirm receipt. Oh shoot, thank you. Why? Oh man, guys, I'm letting a bunch of people that have been waiting in to the. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh brother, don't mind me. Oh shoot, everyone joining. Hold on, we got one more person. That's kind of embarrassing. I feel so bad. Maybe. For everyone that just joined, I'm so sorry I did not see you sitting in the waiting room. Oh, here we go. Try again. Good. Okay. So my apologies. This is recorded, so you can go back and watch those. All right. We're going to make sure the offer is complete, checking for all addendum, confirm the receipt of the offer, make sure you send an email, send a text, just send it off. You'll be okay on that side of it. Get offer to seller in a timely manner. Part of conversations and part of the things that as agents, I think we don't do enough of is setting expectations. All the problems we come up with in our day-to-day is because we just didn't set the proper expectation with our client. So if you're going to receive offers and work, say after 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever that is, just let your clients know, hey, if we receive any offers until 9 p.m. and I get them, I'll be sure to let you know. Is that okay? Are you up at 9? They might not be up at 9, or they might be getting ready to go to bed, and you call them in their jammies and it's late and it's tired and they just got done putting the kids to bed and they don't want to think about that offer right now. But maybe you assume that and they wanted to, and you wait till the next morning and now they're getting off to work and they can't get to it till 3 o'clock later that afternoon or whatever it is. So lots of communication with your sellers about when you get an offer and how they want that presented. It will go a long way. Once you know that information, you're going to get that information to the seller in a timely manner that works for them. Sometimes it's a great idea to create an executive summary, especially when you have multiple offers. Again, much like the Google template that had the summary of the main terms, you can do the same thing for your sellers. A simple Google spreadsheet usually works really well. You're going to call the buyer's agent. Really good idea to talk through, especially if there's terms that are pretty unclear. Hey, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? Why did you put this in? How important is it? Kind of flipping the script from the buyer to the seller, now from the seller to the buyer. Hey, I see you have a 60-day close. Tell me about that. And just let them talk. Silence is awesome. Great, great tool. Sometimes just shut up and listen. If you have a hard time with silence, I learned this because my mom does. Just give yourself a 15-second count. It seems like an eternity, but it can do a lot in a negotiation just to let people get their thoughts together and communicate clearly. Okay, so that's why we're going to call the buyer's agent, is to get clarity around any of the terms that are in the offer. Call the lender if allowed in your area. I didn't know there was areas that didn't allow that, but definitely call the lender. Hey, I just got an offer from Mark and Sue. If the lender says, who's Mark and Sue, I'm getting a little worried about the offer. But a lot of times, especially a good lender, they'll be proactive, and a lot of times you'll get a call from the lender the moment the offer is being submitted. Always love that. That's like the opposite side. I know I'm going to have a good transaction, and I've got a lender that is ready to go. But verify the pre-approval letter. It's also a good time to have a few questions for a lender. Anyone think of some questions we might want to ask a lender who's representing the buyer? What's some things we might want to know about that buyer?
Are they qualified? Do they have pre-approval versus the real approval?
Yeah, even more. Thank you, Amy, for jumping on. What are even some more specifics? Like,
What
hey,
program they qualify for?
good. Why are they FHA? Maybe they
Mhm.
just want to be FHA. Maybe it just is a cheaper rate for them, or maybe they don't have the down payment, but their credit's great. That's a very good one. What program? What if it indicates that someone's putting down 20%? What would you like the lender to have checked?
Proof of funds?
Yeah. Hey, 40% down payment. That's awesome. Have you seen proof of those funds? Or are you just going off of what they said? Oh, they said grandma and grandpa. Oh, great. So it's a gift. That's cool. Do we have a gift letter already? Because we don't want to get to the day before closing and not have a gift letter and have it hung up and underwrite. So really good idea to have a little lender script for yourself, questions, and have documents online where you can always make your changes and edits. The fun thing about this industry is you're always learning. There's always ways to get better and improve. And so as little things come up, you can add them to that document. Oh, I got to make sure next time I ask the lender this question. Thank you all for participating. It really helps me feel like I'm just not staring at a screen. All right, so we're going to call the lender if allowed in your area. Create an outline document to reference when you call sellers. So again, very similar to executive summary, but hey, we're going to go through. Like this is another great opportunity to have a conversation with a seller beforehand. Hey, we're selling your house. Oh, awesome. Yep, we're going to get offers. It's going to be great. Don't make the first time they see a purchase contract or the last time they saw a purchase contract 7 years ago when they bought their home. Number one, it probably changed, right? But number two, they're not even going to be aware of what they're looking at if you haven't gone through that with them. So make sure you set aside at least 20, 30 minutes at some point prior to the listing going active to review a purchase contract with your sellers if they're not familiar. And then having an outline that matches the contract that you can readily access and review with them is good to make sure you don't miss anything. Typically, when you get going, you're always going to remember the price and the close of escrow and all that. But you might forget that the home was 1978 or earlier and might have lead-based paint, might have a septic tank. Those are types of things that, oh yeah, I forgot. This one's got septic. We got to talk about this. Okay. And sorry. Hold on. Why? There's no difference there. It's just an extra slide. Okay. Creating an offer in command. They do a little graphic. That's cool. So you're integrated end to end. Hopefully you guys had time to play with this. Full transparency. I'm not in command. I have a transaction coordinator that does all that for me. I will not be able to answer very many questions, but she is here. So if anyone has any questions about Keller Command, submitting offers and working within there, please ask. We can get those answered for you. All right, so we've presented to the seller, and I'm going to keep going because we're almost done, but we're almost past our first hour here. Buyer has made an offer. The seller has responded in one of three ways. They've countered, accepted, or rejected. And we've either continued negotiation, we've moved to escrow, or the offer was rejected, and we're going to try and revive that. Wow, look at that. Finished on time. I don't know why these slides are just extra, but we don't have time to do this. But does anyone have a question or specifically along lines of presenting or responding to an offer, go ahead, try and stump me. I love that. This is always my opportunity to learn something also. So if you have like, well, how would you tell someone that the price is just too low, or the closing day is insane, or whatever, right? We can talk about that. That's just the first one. Yes, Shakita, go ahead.
What are some of the things that you put in your offer letter, like when you're submitting an offer to a seller?
That I will bring up that template again, because that's literally all we do. But hold on.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
when I'm submitting to a seller.
Yeah.
So again, very similar. We don't have a template for that. It's just a basically here. You want the honest one or what we should do? The honest answer is I send an email and a text, hey, you got an offer, I'll call you. When's a good time to call and discuss? That's, can you repeat the question? Yes, Leonard. Yeah. Kathy, I'll get to that in a second. So that's the truth, is I usually just tell them, hey, you got an offer, congratulations. I'm gonna review it. When's a good time to call and discuss? Occasionally, especially if it's complicated, or and always when there's multiple offers, we'll do an Excel sheet and present the standards. Now, this was really cool in prepping for this class. We found this today. I'm gonna see if I can't have Emily come show you this. Do you think we can with the Keller offer thing? There was that little, where was that? Where it showed the yeah, in command, where it showed like the difference between the offers. That's all right. So we're gonna try and find that for you guys, but and I'll be able to show you, but command will put together a comparison where you can have the standards and the standard contract offerings next to each other, and then share that with your client. Susan, go ahead.
As far
Susanna,
as
I'm so sorry, Susanna.
it's okay. So when you list a home, I know everyone does it a little differently. Do you put a set date that you're reviewing offers, or do you kind of just take them as they go? What would be like the pros and cons of each option?
So putting a offers will be reviewed. Good question, thank you. Putting a date on it was really important when the market was really on fire and you were expecting 2 or 3 offers in a weekend. Letting people know, like, listen, we all have lives, don't worry, take the weekend. We're going to take all offers through the weekend and we'll review them on Monday. The other option would be offers are presented and reviewed as they are received, and seller reserves the right to accept an offer at any time. And that's going to create some urgency in the listing. Bottom line is what we put in is what serves our clients best. So we have those conversations, we talk about expectations. Hey, when the market was what it was, hey, we can expect multiple offers through this weekend. And, how do you want me to get those to you? Usually the answer is, I don't know. What do you recommend? Well, I recommend you let us gather offers through the weekend. We'll set a time on Monday to give you a call, what works best for you. We'll review all those and we'll go back to all the offers with your response. Some clients would say, no, just send them as you get them. That's great. And if I get the right one, I'm good to go. And in that case, we try to indicate that as much as possible in the offer or in the listing. And a lot of times that benefited us and got us a really strong offer right away, because people knew they weren't going to have to go through the highest and best rigmarole if they just submitted a really great offer, but there was a good chance that they could get that accepted. I think that answered your question, but if not, chime in.
No, got it. Thank you.
Going back to Kathy had a question about, can you repeat the questions you asked the lender as a listing agent? So I want to ask him, how does job history, and so take a second to take notes if you want. These are some good ones that from the years are good to know. How long have the buyers been employed at their present jobs? If it's somebody who they've both been employed for, 3 months, there might be a follow-up question. Why the short work duration? Oh, they were in college. Okay, cool. They just moved here. Okay, cool. They just, got new jobs. Okay, well then the next question I want to know is there a gap in employment? Because any kind of gaps in employment or anything like that that might cause issues down the road, I'm not judging people. I just want to know what might cause an issue with getting final loan approval, because a pre-qual is one thing. A pre-approval is better, but even a pre-approval isn't fully qualified, and that loan's going to go through underwriting and employment issues or tracking of finances, like the down payment and where it came from. Those are things that can blow up a deal. In Arizona, loan contingency is one of the last things in which a buyer can get out of a contract and retain their earnest money up until the last few days of closing. So not great on sellers on the listing side when it all blows up because of a loan contingency issue, especially when you find out, well, if I would have just asked the lender, I might have been able to get that information ahead of time. I might have been able to let my clients at least know and expect that, hey, this might get hairy towards the end. And again, now you're working on different premise of, okay, you know what? We'd really like to get pre-approval and get into underwriting sooner. So let's get appraisal order right away so we can get into underwriting and make that part of the negotiation if you feel like the loan is going to be an issue. We're going to ask, how much are they putting down? Have you seen proof of funds? We're going to ask if there's any gifts. Do you already have gift letters? Have down payment funds been sourced? That's code for where did the money come from? $50,000 can't just show up in an account 2 weeks before closing. It doesn't work that way. Got to know where it came from. Because, well, it can't be borrowed and it can't just be given without proper documentation, because that could look like a loan. And if it's a loan, then that's going to adjust their qualifications, etc. So those are some of the questions I'm going to be asking. Generally, they kind of come out and say, oh, they're great borrowers with great credit history and long work history and blah, 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 blah. Ask a few specifics, feel good about it to where you can relay that information to your sellers. Again, kind of looking for why a low down payment, why are they FHA, is it credit score issues, what's job history. Once you got down payment, job history, and the program kind of worked out, a credit score, you're golden. Oh, you feel good about those. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, I got more people to admit. I'm so sorry. Okay, we are at 7:01. We are really, I have never on this time in my life. So we're not going to take a break. If you need to, go for it. For everyone who got delayed in the waiting room, I am so sorry. I don't know how to change that setting, or I would. So I'm trying to keep an eye out. This is being recorded, and I'm sure we will be able to get an email to you of the videos for anything you might have missed. Please keep the questions coming. Really helps to keep me engaged. All right, daily success system. I don't know how much you guys talked about this. We don't really have time to go in depth on it, but I know I have a few minutes on the back end of this. So make sure you're trying to have 10 real estate conversations every day, 10 contacts added every day, 10 handwritten notes. Hey, I just got into real estate. Your relationship's always meant a lot to me. If you can find it in your heart to support me in my business, that would mean a lot. Thank you so much, and send it. Now, if you can't do that by handwriting because it's terrible, no problem. Send in a message on social media. This stuff is all like Keller Williams 20 years old stuff. This is stuff anyone that's been an agent in Keller Williams for years that we were all taught to do early on. This is the one I want to focus on for a second. The 10-5-1, social media engagement. This is a newer addition to your daily success system. This is uber important. This is the way probably 70% of your database communicates. 10-5-1, I've heard it different ways. It doesn't really matter. Just do it. But 10 to us is 10 likes. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to like 10 things on social media. Not the first 10, but the first 10 that are people I recognize, I may want to get in communication with the next month or so, people that I want to see my information, because that 10 clicks of social engagement is going to help optimize your social media connection with that person. 5 comments. Yeah, 5 comments. Hey, that trip to Disneyland was really awesome. I can't wait to go. And like to ask a question so you get engagement back. How was the new Star Wars ride? Right? Oh my gosh, I love Roaring Fork for your birthday. The menus are so fun. What'd you have for dessert? What'd you guys do after? Blah, 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 blah. And then the 1, so 10 likes, 5 comments, and 1 share or post to somebody. Enrichment, learning, appointments, agreements, closings. Please remember, check the do not call list. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. If not, they don't belong in your database, don't talk to them. Okay, role play and role model, prepare your conversations list. Nope. This is all stuff done in the 3-hour class, so you guys please try and find time to do this. Get with an accountability partner, go through some of these things. Celebrate successes. You guys have been at this for almost 2 weeks now. Well, this is the second week. I don't want to skip over this. Any successes to celebrate, especially from things that you maybe did in the class or learned in the class that you've already implemented in your business, even if it's as little as somebody replied back to my comment on social media. Okay, well, let's do a better job of conversations. I would love for you guys to have some of those little wins. I'll share with you just in case you want to know what maybe that looks like. Yesterday, I had a client call. She called me in a panic. She's like, "I'm so sorry to bother you." I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" Oh, I'm gonna pause that story. Tilly, go ahead. You might have to unmute though. I don't know if I can do that for you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was my fault.
Stay on mute. Okay.
You're good. You're good. Sorry.
All right. I was just gonna say that since taking this class, I've gotten a lot more confident in having conversations. So today I was able to go to a festival for Juneteenth, and there were people I was talking to about something else, and the conversation came up, and I was able to pass out, multiple business cards and, make some connections. So that felt nice.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Here's the thing. Don't feel bad about engaging in follow-up, because that's where you're going to make your money. Just because you handed them your card really doesn't mean they're going to call you. Them taking your card was your permission to reach out to them in the future. So hopefully you got their information, but definitely follow up, even if it's just, hey, it meant the world to me that you took my card and really appreciate that. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Thank you for sharing that. That's exactly the type of thing. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, one, that's awesome, Tilly, and kind of the same thing, since taking this class, not only do I feel more confident, but there's been a lot of little pieces of information along the way that I've been able to make my own in a little way that I didn't really think about before. So it's been really great.
Awesome. The best thing I can tell you guys in that regard is have a place to document stuff and easily find it, because you're always going to be learning. You're going to put things down that you forgot about, right? The nice little learning reminders like, oh yeah, I forgot I knew that at one point. So the longer you're in this business, the more you're going to know, the more you're going to realize you don't know things. So putting it down in writing and kind of making everything a process is super important. Your process will change, your systems will change, but having that documented so you can stick with it is important. Go ahead, Shakita.
I agree with everyone. I definitely feel like this course have been very beneficial, and it's also helped with my confidence in getting out there and putting action, because I'm really a sucker for like just taking a lot of training and not putting myself out there. So this has boosted my confidence and just getting that action behind me, but it's also connecting a lot of dots that weren't connecting when I first started. And so it's a refresher, and it's helping me put myself out there a little bit more.
Awesome.
Well said.
I love that. So just go ahead, Amy.
Oh, I was just saying, yes, exactly.
Good. So this just, these are, I think it's important to learn to see what wins look like, because they're not always deals. And really hold on to those and value those and know that, because it means you're doing the right thing, and doing the right thing day in and day out leads to business. So Denny called me today. Denny, it was yesterday, but what doesn't matter. Denny and her husband had been looking for a house for their kids in college, so like an investment. We looked for a few weeks and they determined this wasn't a good time for them. No problem. So I got a call from her today, and I'm like, oh, or yesterday, I'm like, what? I wonder what's going on. She's like, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you, but we are in the middle of replacing our air conditioners. And 2 of our air conditioners turn out the furnaces, but the AC guy brought heat pumps. What should we do? And I don't want to go into the answer. It's not important. The fact that she called me to talk about, hey, how is this going to affect our value? How's this going to affect our home? What are there things that we're not thinking about? Because it meant that the stuff I'm doing to put out there, the stuff that my team is doing to put out there to people, to let them know that we're all things real estate and we're here to help them. Like she took action on that. And that just meant the world to me. So anyway, learn to celebrate those little successes, because this is a rough job. It's the closest thing to imagine being a baseball player, right? Like those guys take a lot of swings and strike out a lot, even the ones that are the best. I tell my son all the time, like the best baseball players in the world hit the ball 3 out of 10 times. So, all right. It is a game of losing, someone once said. Use command and get connect to get help. All right, here we go. On to the next one, and then we'll wrap up. We'll continue conversation if we have to. Oh, come on. Oh, because it's done. Now I gotta bring this other slideshow over. Okay, negotiating offers. So we've made and received offers. We've double checked. We've got everything aligned and ready to go. They're perfect offers. Let's negotiate, because hardly ever are they going to just be accepted. Sometimes that can happen, but it takes a lot of work up front sometimes. Okay, what is negotiation? Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. I think the biggest thing to know when it comes to negotiation, again, this is not to see who can win. This is not to see who can get something more than the other person or some kind of calculation. This is simply negotiating is just working to a compromise, finding the win-win for everybody and bringing it to the closing table. And there's so many options and there's so many things to consider in a real estate transaction. There's a lot of ways to get things done. And a lot of times the negotiating is just navigating that. I'd like to share a little story at this point about a for sale by owner. And I'm not I don't pride myself on being able to beat people up over price. I'm actually really bad about it. I'm always like, oh, it's just a few $1,000s. Let's just go. Like, this is not a big deal. So, and it is, and that's a terrible mindset, but it's not my strength. My strength is in problem solving, and that's every bit of negotiating as well. So don't think it's just about price, but how to for sale by owner. I helped take over for him, getting his house sold. The conversation went something like, I need you to do this. I've had this thing under contract 3 times. I can't get it to close. I said, I'd love to help. I think my expertise can get it there. I said, where do you keep falling apart? He said, in the inspection period. I said, listen, let me help you. Don't take offense to this, but you did the remodel on this home and you're probably taking the little things that they want fixed really personal. Let me see if I can help. He says, yeah, okay. So long story short, we get into contract and we get to the inspection and it comes back that there's an issue with the trusses in the house, the roof. And he starts swearing like a sailor, GD and everything else is the same thing that keeps happening. I'm not replacing the trusses on the roof. And I said, well, we don't have to replace the trusses on the roof. Like, what would like, are you willing to pay for an engineer to certify this? And he was like, what? I'm like, listen, we can have a structural engineer come out and evaluate the trusses and we can make repairs. Like, you don't have to replace the trusses in the roof. That's negotiating. I negotiated with the seller that I represented. Like, that's part of this. So don't lose sight of what negotiating is. It's not us against the other agent. All too often, it's us with our clients. And then taking what their wants and needs are to the other side and looking for a win-win. Okay. All right. Path of negotiation. There are 2 options after an offer is presented. Option 1 is always the best. Offer is made, offer is accepted, and you close. Those don't happen nearly enough, unfortunately. So let's look at option 2. Maybe it's rejected. Either way, I hate to see an offer die, but it's usually countered. And again, sometimes know your audience. If you get an agent who just wants everything in writing and on paper, you may be doing a lot of counter offers, and that's okay. Just do it. Just get the offer to the closing line and get through it. But this is a good time to pick up the phone, have some conversation, do a negotiation, and get to a point where an offer can be accepted. Also strongly suggest that you never let an offer die. So long as you can get your clients to counter again, do it. I'm not doing that price. Okay, well, what can we go back to them with? I'm not moving on price. Okay, let's not move on price. Would you do a home warranty? Would you give them a longer inspection period? Are you willing to be flexible on your close of escrow? Are you willing to give them a post-possession or a pre-possession? There's lots of things that will create value for people in a contract, depending on what side they're on. Explore those. All right, who you negotiate with? Ah, there it is, your clients. See, you'd think I prepped and knew that was going to be in the slide, but I didn't. All right, so your clients are one of the people you'll be negotiating with, probably more than the other side, to be honest. Listen, don't get frustrated. A lot of times it's a lack of understanding. Not that they don't know, it's that they misunderstand. So take your time, be clear. I can't express how important it is to have as many conversations up front before the shooting starts so that you and your clients are prepared. Obviously, the agent on the other side of the transaction, be nice. You never know when you're going to be doing a transaction with that agent again. And I can tell you, in the world that we're heading into post NAR, post the NAR settlement, the importance of having relationships with agents that have been in the business. Certain agents tend to always get listings. So if you're going to be negotiating with an agent for your buyer agency commission now, best that you've had a great experience with them. The other thing is, and so I didn't get a chance to really do a lot in the intro part of this. I've coached high school football for almost 20 years. Oh no, I guess it's more than that. So since I was 19 years old, I'm 45, and I only took a few years off. So it's been a while. And football is a highly aggressive a highly contentious sport. And a lot of times, kids lose their mind. And I've had this conversation all the time with them. Respect the game. And so I tell agents the same thing. Respect the game. He's just doing his job. Well, as long as he is, right? Like his job is to block you. His job is to drive you. His job is to tackle you. His job is to hit you hard. Like respect the game. He's doing his job. Respect our jobs. Respect the cross agent. If you didn't like something they came at you with, realize it probably isn't from them, number one. It's probably from their sellers or their buyers. Realize that they have a job to do. And it's not fun sometimes delivering bad news. And I don't like to sugarcoat everything. And I'm not going to blame my agents or my clients for things. Oh, these sellers are super crazy. I can't believe I can't get them. That is not great representation. And conversely, if someone comes at you and says, nope, they're not willing to come down on that, don't go crazy. Well, I think this is ridiculous and blah, blah. Control yourself. Respect the game. Respect our agency with each other and with our clients. It really will help for great negotiation, a smooth transaction. Unfortunately, not everyone's heard that message. Okay, common points of negotiation. Price, usually the primary factor, absolutely. And it's what determines the cost of the property. Terms, either financial, time-based, or both. So terms of a contract, earnest money, again, one of the best ways to make an offer strong and yet protect your buyers from raising price, but also on a seller side, that really does make an offer more valuable. The further along you get into a transaction, the less likely that transaction is going to fall apart. And depending on your broker and your state, write stuff in like, hey, after appraisal, half earnest money to be hard. You can do that. Like, do things that benefit your client in terms of, in regards to terms. If there's other things beyond price that you need to get, you can't get to agreement fully on price. Okay, well, what are some other things that maybe we can do to make up for that? Okay, ahas, that was quick. Any ahas here? Did a little stopping point at 720. Probably should stop drinking this monster, but I'm not going to. Okay, 3 P's of negotiating. Prepare. Preparation is the key to building confidence and ensuring a smooth negotiation process. Prepare your client. Have conversations around the contract with your buyer. Have conversations around the contract with your seller. We were doing all sorts of conversations 2 years ago about why you might need to remove your appraisal contingency to get your offer accepted. Why you might want to shorten your inspection period or your due diligence period. Those are conversations. And then as now that market has shifted, those conversations are shifting. Mr. Seller, you should expect to offer concessions because rates are really high compared to what people are used to. We need to buy those down. Help buyers buy the rate down. Mr. Seller, realize that buyers are coming to the table with everything they can as a down payment to keep their payments low. Realize you may have to replace that 30-year-old AC because they're probably not going to have the $15,000 to do it. So these are the kind of preparation conversations we're going to have. Move into negotiation process by presenting the offer. So that's everything we talked about. Having it nice and neat and presentable, making sure everything is done. There's nothing worse than getting through a negotiation and sending a counter offer with 1 term on price and 10 issues with the contract that need to be cleared up. It just looks unprofessional and it makes the offer look sketch, to be honest. So slow down, take your time, clean it up. Number 3, position, have both parties closer and move both parties closer until you have full agreement. Be patient. Offers usually don't get to the agreement in the first offering. They don't usually get to agreement in the first counter. If you're not talking with the other agent for whatever reason, it might take a while to move to agreement. Again, my biggest tip is don't get fixated on one thing. If it's price and nobody's moving, move to other items and see if that helps get that closer together. Oh, look at that. Oh, we probably should have moved forward a little bit here. All right, know your prepare. Know your goal, know your client, think ahead, set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, know the documents inside and out. I'm gonna highlight a few things here. Know your client. Know what's really important to them. Sometimes clients just want to feel like they won. And so ask them, what would make you feel like you've won in this if we're going to go to this price? Try to be thinking ahead, getting an idea of all the timelines and everything else. One very, very simple thing on thinking ahead, just one very simple example. When you put COE on there, close of escrow on there, and you put a date, what does that week look like? Not just for you, for your client as well. Are schools starting then? Are there any holidays? Are there bank holidays? Just take a look at some of the things that are coming up with the transaction. The holiday thing is really, especially over summer with vacations and everything else, is really important to make sure that you're going to be able to get a due diligence period in an inspection response back to the seller. Make sure you can get your inspector out there. Make sure you can get repairs made that are agreed to. That's all contained in thinking ahead. There's a lot to be considering. Setting clear expectations. I can't stress that one enough. It's the most important thing throughout any contract negotiation and just in working with our clients in general. Be informed, careful. You spend your entire life being informed and then never doing work. You spend your whole career in real estate going to classes and ignites and never actually going and doing real estate. Get your base, get some confidence about you, and then go out and learn from making mistakes. It's okay. Just be careful of the big ones. Obey the laws, and then know documents inside and out. I still will weekly look at contracts and try and just look at it with a fresh perspective and see, okay, what does that really mean? How does that pertain to other parts of the contract? I'll never forget last year, I was so heated. I got a due diligence cancellation because of value. That was all it said, is they reject the value of the property. And I was ticked, and my broker's like, oh, slow down, let's read the contract. I'm like, okay, let's read it. Blah, 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 blah. If buyer disapproves of value. It says it right in there. I'm like, huh, well, good to know, because I'm gonna use that one from here on out. But, you know, that's really, and I've had this conversation with people too, you know, it's really not fair, no matter what side you're on, for a buyer to go look at a home for 20 minutes and decide that's where they want to spend $500,000 in the next 10 years of their life. Like, that's a ridiculous notion. And so they're going to say, hey, based on the 20 minutes I spent in your house, this is what I think it's worth, and this is what I'm willing to offer, and this is the terms of my deal. And I'm going to want a 5, 10, 7-day due diligence period to make sure this is everything I thought it was in the first 20 minutes that I saw it. Okay. Present. Nope, what just happened? Hold on. Okay, there. Ask purple per that word on the screen. Questions. Provides you with points you will negotiate on. What's really important in closing date? What is your move out going to look like? You know how many sellers don't think about moving out when they go to list their home? And they get an offer and they're like, oh yeah, we can do 30 days. You can do 30 days. Okay. Well, you haven't started packing your house yet. You saw your garage, it's full of stuff. What's in your attic? What is your plan for moving? Because by the way, you don't even have a house yet. Right? So just have some points you're negotiating with. Provide insight on where you and your client will have leverage. Hey, it's really important to these buyers that they move in on this date because their home's closing the day before. We have to leave that alone, right? Or, hey, I think that we might be able to gain some leverage by giving them pre-possession or post-possession. If your broker allows it, that can be a touchy subject, but it's a fun one to bring up. Set clear expectations, allow you to get to know your client and their goal, and asking purposeful questions. helps you learn what will make it a win-win negotiation for both parties. Get good at asking questions. Open-ended questions, questions that have unlimited response options. What additional information should I know? What's important about closing in 30 days? How do you feel about that? I've often joked that I actually am a counselor and not a real estate agent. My wife, who has her master's in counseling, doesn't think that's really funny, but I do. But it's true. I mean, we spend so much time asking questions, getting and calming people's emotions and feelings and exploring those emotions and feelings. It can often feel that way. Close-ended questions, sometimes you have to ask them, but the open-ended questions are much better when you can. What and why questions, what would happen if, helps you anticipate the next steps of a negotiation. And why is it important to you? I've got a client right now that we're working with, and he's a cash buyer and refuses to close faster than 30 days. And I cannot get him to answer why. I've asked it several times, and he will not give me an answer. So I think there's something there that he's not comfortable sharing. It's a bigger, longer story than that. But sometimes the simplest questions you think you can answer for, and you can't. Instructions. Oops, take action scenario. Work with a partner, read the scenario, clarify. Okay, we're not going to do that. Best practices when presenting. Call the other agent. It's always better to talk things through. We just submitted an offer the other day that looked ridiculous on the surface. Same client I was just talking about, actually. And so I had to call and I had to explain why I have a cash offer that's contingent and wants a 45-day closing, because that didn't make any sense to him, nor really to me. But we had a nice talk about it, and we are still trying to come to a conclusion on that one. Pay attention to nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. Also, if you're an aggressive person who doesn't like silence, get used to that. Let it do its thing. There you go, perfect. Keep quiet once you present an offer. Listen carefully to what's important to the other party. Just try and hear what they're really saying. If you're like, okay, I get why they want a 10-day inspection, but could we do it in less than 10? See how awkward that silence gets? Just let it go. All right, stay calm and relaxed. Ugh, it's so hard sometimes, especially when people are like dumb. There's nothing more frustrating or inconsiderate, or they're just not like, but stay calm. That's our job. That's why we're getting paid. Focus on the customer's needs. Give your offer the best chance. All right, number 3, position. Acknowledge and affirm common ground. There is so much power in, okay, so we are there on the due diligence period, and we're good on all the lending and the financing, the closing date, and that post-possession that your client really needs, and we are $3,000 away. What can we do to get it there? You don't have to propose an answer. You don't have to say, can we split it 50-50? You don't have to say, will your seller come up? Just ask a question and be quiet. Let's see where they're at. Know that positioning is a process. Again, kind of goes along with being patient. Just, you don't have to get from A to Z in the first conversation. And lastly, know when to walk away. I hate walking away. You'll know. When it goes back and forth and it's been the same thing like twice, then you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere. Make sure it's your client's decision, not yours. Always good to get that in writing if you can, that they are done and why they are done, because you'd be amazed if you sent over, the 2 reasons to the other side, see if they can't come back with, okay, if those are the 2 reasons why, then let's see if we can keep this together. All right, take action. Instructions: work with your same partner, read the scenario, complete the role play. Ahas about prepare, present, and position in negotiations. Any questions too, like just like how would you, whatever.
Silence is.
Let's go Tilly and then Susanna.
I was just gonna say, it's a aha for me that silence is a gift because that's a very uncomfortable place for most people.
I once won. I've yeah, I can't even tell you how often it really works. Like you'll laugh the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, it works. So I challenge you guys to do it, even in something like insignificant, right? Like you're at the car wash and they're trying to upsell you. If you like, hey, who's had that experience as of late? Hey, what do you like for the car wash? Oh, just the basic. Well, what about today? We're doing this, and that. And then just look at them. And okay, well, we can just do the basic, I guess. You'll laugh. It's fun. All right. It's good sales. It's a good sales technique. Thank you, Tilly. Susanna?
I was just gonna ask, as far as like investors and negotiating, I feel like at least here where I'm at in California, it's like so hard to even get to put an offer. Like as soon as they come out, like everyone's already on them. Like any ideas on that or any suggestions?
So are you talking about when it's a really good deal?
Yes. I mean, I
Okay.
wouldn't say they're the best deals anymore, but yeah.
Right. So you get something, it's listed, it needs work, and it's clearly underpriced. And you're trying to get to the table with it.
Yes.
Um,
Like, how would you stand out
try and
above?
get try and get in the relationship with the listing agent as quickly as possible.
Got it.
Just become their best friend, make them feel bad for saying this isn't going to work out. A lot of times those listing agents have a lot of those listings. So, hey, if you ever got someone who isn't going to list, or if I can get a first crack at it, something like that. On the flip side too, like make an aggressive offer. Be a little bit better than it should. Keep your inspection period and go from there. Um, investors are so hard to work with sometimes. They want the world. They hardly ever close because they're waiting for this unicorn of a deal, and they take a bunch of time. So I think the other thing to ask yourself is, if that's becoming really painful in your world, is that the people you want to be working with as clients? What's that? Sorry.
No. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a little stressful.
It is a lot
Like they
stressful.
want something, super affordable that doesn't need that much work, but then those that are like super, super cheap or like everyone's on them, there's so many investors now
Yeah.
to flip. So it's kind of hard to even get in there. And I feel like I'm not, giving him as many options because they're so little. And then when they are, they're gone like the next day.
Yeah. So a couple things around that. Number one, going back to setting expectations and having clear expectations. When I talk to investors, I want to know what their buy box is. I want to know what their numbers are, because when I bring them a deal, I've already met all their requirements. They're not evaluating anything. This is what they told me they want to buy. They're going to buy it. And if not, they're probably not going to be my client. Now there's always like exceptions, and I'm being dramatic, but I think that's the attitude you should have in working with investors. Have all those numbers up front, know it, submit the offer that meets those numbers, and then bring it to them. Hey, I've got something accepted for you. The other thing is, and just to diverge on investors real quick, you might want to try and move up the stream. By the time anything gets to the MLS, there's gonna be too much competition. Try and get in with, there's 1,000 wholesalers in this world anymore. There's thousands of wholesalers in this world. Sometimes they come across some pretty nifty deals. Get up in their world, send them information, about your buy box or your client's buy box and let them know that you're a real buyer or you have a real buyer and to send you stuff. They'll respond.
Awesome. Great. Good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else? 7:38. I think we just have a little bit more to go. Feel free to stop me at any time. I'll keep moving this forward so we have time at the end, or we can all go to bed early. Okay, negotiation tips. Be professional, kind of, again, going back to the conversation I've already had with you guys about respect the game and respect each other's professional stance within the contract. Keep the goal in mind. Pay attention to your communication and tone with anyone involved in the transaction. I literally have to make sure I eat before I get on the phone and have a contentious conversation because I am a grump monster when I'm hungry. Continually refer your client's motivation when speaking with them. It's people have this weird ability to get fixated on things that really aren't that important, right? So, like, is the post possession for 7 days really that important? If you have a weekend, you can get it done in 3. Like, why do you need till next Friday? What are you really going to do? Isn't it, as long as you have enough time to move, isn't that really what you want? So get back to their motivation. Hey, you really wanted a house in this school district, and these just don't come up very often. I know it's a 2-story, and you didn't want a 2-story, but all the 1-stories that you want, like they're 50,000 more, and we haven't been able to find one. So is it more important you have a 1-story or that your kids get the education that they deserve? Okay, you might not want to be that salesy, because that just sounds slimy, but hopefully that, just drive home their motivation. And if you don't know, then now you know what you have to do, get their motivation. When you're negotiating with the other side, again, your seller really wants to get this sold, don't they? Or do they really not want to sell? Are they really wanting to move out, or do they need to stay an extra month? Like, really, what is their motivation on this? Trying to think of another example as it pertains to price. Your client really wanted to net a certain amount by doing, this and that. It'll help them net that amount, whether it's paying for HOA and getting a credit or whatever that might look like. Again, there's a lot of ways to solve these problems. Don't reveal too much and listen more than you talk. Keep your client's motivation close to your chest. So often we want to reveal the importance of all the things. Just hold on as much as you can, reveal it when you need to, and really be a listener more than a talker. Don't be attached to the outcome. Ugh, it's the hardest one. Just heartbroken so many times when clients didn't get that dream home. And the reality is they usually find a home that they love them even more. So fall back on that, but try not to get attached to the outcome. And that's a great expectation to set with your clients as well, especially your buyers. Just blowing through these ahas. Really? Is it done? I engage in blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, shoot. What's this one? Command. Okay, wow, that's it. Sorry, that was a little faster than I thought. So we can go back and talk about things if you guys want. Chance to ask any questions you want. If there's anything you want to see with a contract, I'm all yours. At this time too, if you're good, feel free to jump off. It's officially the end. I am going to put our tech stack. So I run the Reach Home group over here at Keller Williams Sonoran in Chandler, Arizona. I've been at this since 2006, started a team in 2017. And so we do a lot of things different is literally just from the standpoint of like, we just don't do it the same, but we do the same things. And so if anyone wants our contact information and tech stack, I'm gonna do my attempt to drop that to you now. Files.
I just
Yay.
want to say thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, Sharon. Thank you.
Hi, yeah. Also very much thank you. We will definitely be taking your contact information. And then did you have an opportunity to find the command like offers comparison thing that you were talking about earlier?
Where was that though? Yeah, hold on a second. I've got it.
Thanks.
Was it in making? I was making receive. It would have been in here. Hey, this is a little behind the curtain here. In the meantime, will you email me the tech stack so I can just pull it from there? Sorry, you might not want to look at the screen because I'm going to scroll real fast and make you guys dizzy. I must have been on that one. Looking for it. It wasn't there. It was in the other one. Hold on, I know how to find this. Okay, try this one. This one. There we go. All right. Review and receive offer checklist. So you can use command to help your seller understand their net by using the seller worksheet. Check out the download and offer comparison. So this is in answers.kw.com. When you log in, it'll show your opportunities. Zoom in for you guys here. Hopefully you can see that a little better. Click on the opportunities icon. For the opportunities, click on the phase where the opportunity is located, and then click on the opportunity title. At the top of the opportunity details page, click offers and commissions tab. And then you're going to click the check boxes besides the offers and click compare offers. Then what's going to happen is it's going to put that in a little, I can't pause this, you guys. I'm so sorry. It just keeps rolling, right? But you're going to download the offer comparison, click the download button, and you'll be directed to another screen. On that screen, click the download icon, name the offer comparison, and click save. And so you're going to get this. Again, I'm so sorry that I can't pause this. But here it comes. You're going to get this comparison in a downloadable format and be able to send that off to your clients.
So that would mean that you would have to inform or like upload your information, your offer information into the command database in order for it to do that.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. I'm going to put my text stack. Oh, a link that works. Is it everyone can see that? Let me just do this and this and viewer. Great. Copy link. All right, here's the link to our tech stack and our contact information. I'm gonna download it also real quick, and you can download it to yourself. Feel free, if you don't know what any of this is or you want to know why I use it, hit us up in an email. Give me a day to respond, please. Ugh, stupid thing. I did. No. Oh, I don't know why. Download. That's a better idea. Oh, we got some clickers in there already. Great. Okay. And then I can do this. And your computer. There we go. Yeah, Shakira, go ahead.
So I love that there was the Google template. I'm used to Outlook, so I'm adjusting to the Google side of things.
Oh, yeah.
Did your Market Center provide that for you, or is that something you put in manually yourself over time?
I put them all in myself over time and I just copy paste. So let me go through that little demonstration. Don't judge my Gmail, please. The thousands of
No
unread.
judging at
All
all.
right. So we're gonna go to compose and let's just say, well, let me just see here, offer, see what comes up. I'll just scroll way down and see if I can find, here we go, offer for Savannah Tree. Oh, they didn't have a good one, boo. I'm gonna try and find, I'm gonna show you kind of what I did, like in a nutshell. So I'll find a good offer here. Oh my goodness. What's something we had an offer on?
Extended offer?
You got an offer for Chambers?
He had a good email, but
Not a great one. Ross. There, okay. This is terrible, but this will work. Okay, so here's an example, right? I get this and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, don't even read it. I'm not going to. I'm like, oh, okay. Some of this will work, right? I really can't stand the fact that they highlighted it. But I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna use this as my template or parts of it for my template. So I just copy. And then I have my new message down here and we're gonna do offer template. And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna doctor it up to be what I want to be, but then cool, save. Now come down here, templates, save draft as template. And then I can either save it as my offer template if I made adjustments from my current offer template and just resave it as that, but obviously save as a new template. And then great. So it took the subject line and made that and hit save. And now I've got that as a template. So it really isn't difficult once you have what you want to create that. And you can keep on going. Let me delete that. So then I go compose, a nice new email. I'll go down to templates. And now I've got my new offer template test. I love templates. I love templates. I can't even tell you a lot of our templates for transactions. We utilize Transaction Desk by Lone Wolf. They're contracted with Arizona Association of Realtors. So that one's free for us. But prior to that, I used to have Zip forms back in the day. You usually with all those form companies, you can do templates. In addition to templates, we do a lot of not addendum, but like where it's all pre-written.
Summary?
No, shoot. Now I'm gonna log in and see. So, oh, that's not what I want. No, the transaction. Oh, it's PR. This is what happens after 7 o'clock at night. So we're just gonna go into this test. Great. And we're gonna go into our purchase contract. And I'm about to see what it is. It is called clauses. Josh, I wasn't listening. Sorry. So pre-written clauses. You could just do this on a. You can just do this in a Google Doc and pre-write your clauses. So, oh, here's one that's already in there. But like we just come down to this line and we're going to go to clause, or I go to my Google Doc and find the pre-written thing I'm looking for. Our office can put clauses in here. They don't. So all of these are ones that we've created over time for whatever reasons. Oh, I forgot about escalation clauses. That's a fun one. Okay, so I would just click as is. It shows me what it is. Yep, that's the one I want. Hit OK, and boom, it puts it in there. So. Still teaching. Come on in. You want to say hi to the Ignite at Night? Oh, I'm sorry. Ignite After Dark.
Rocking it with them.
Yeah. So this is Jason. This is our OP for Sonora Living.
What's up, all? How's Matt doing?
Terrible.
Give me some thumbs up, thumbs down, bad face, good face.
No, you did great, Jason.
Good answer.
Good answer, Alan. You'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. See ya.
Keep rocking, everybody.
I just sent the
You
industry
guys got a good teacher.
the PDF. Thanks, Jay. You guys have a good night. I finally uploaded the PDF. Jason, I felt so bad. Like half of them got locked out. Like I didn't in the waiting room. I forgot. So, anything else, guys?
No, we're all learning Zoom.
I've learned it. Thanks, Nicole. Come by and say hi. All right, you guys. Thank you all so much. We're all KW. If you guys ever have a question or a referral, give me a call. But no, in all seriousness, I wish you guys all the best. If you have anything, reach out. And thank you for your attention, your participation. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. See you tomorrow.
See you guys. Take care, Geneva.
Thank you.